Then if you would like to lead us in our prayers, Geshe-la, can I ask everyone to mute themselves if they're not already?
Yeah. I'm the Cassandre layer. You know, I'm not shocked. She should shake it in our 48.
No.
I tell you, same get a share, right?
Lasso.
Doko never damn shall we, Chanju send the cabin chance. That's yes, Doko never damn shall we, Chanju send the cabin chance. That Chanju sends the Jabures. That Chanju send Gala Cargachores, the Tango Tere, that Chanju send Gala Cargachores. Chazanazoda, sound or Alatambo, see the march Lapshana, think one of the sound dash Cavalier.
Re kaisena. Dilla tak par tsik shishi legiorwa. Ta dilla tsik ni chipo yodutes.
Ah, six shish learning degree, young six shish the Lapshana, and six shish labayana, the water. Six two lap understood.
Ale.
Tether member sent that a kid in the Kayimba. Then the Tombuko by Dole, Chambera, the ship, said about Shevuda. It had seized the Mada, Chinima the Shimba.
Re di tana shites go to munudilanga.
Where they get the shell on the farm on the city camp. We can do it. You know that in which chamber I went there. The next image comes out Chambers in the Monroe. Niason Sunda Kesoda, Chibuso de Dongawe. Doa Malu, La Tete, Dungagin Dongawa, Dunga Gunzele, Sherva.
Di tama di dore.
That Dunga Gunzele, Sedan Doa Tava de la Yis, Doa Tava de la Yet. Like you would drink long and I'm shouting the parching. Chamba the Niji. That's the Gunze. That's Chimad Leguar, Mushi delay in the color. Dogo never comes with changes in the Keba. Cha. So, good.
Ale ta nye som di ngere ngat pa chik logdro wore dinan lora. Ta nidro som tagarangre. Okay, now I found it. So because we have the Tibetan commentary is now splitting up the verse from 4 or 5 lines that we have in English. We have only 2, so I was like confused. So we are actually at the last bit of verse number 11. And it's about bodhicitta. And the lines that we are going to look at now are the last 2 of verse number 11. So arouse immutably the resolve to attain enlightenment.
This one. That and that car, Dina, and that wish car sungu yard salad. semjengi dungen nazu dige sangtang gores. Semje kwa kuzule sangtang gores.
Kutsulana?
Kwa kortang chiya, kwa
Ale kortsu.
kwa kuzu nyumo le diwangi dungen jundang rinpoche le sangtang chirwa, kwa kodang rinpoche tane. Ni rangwa kyuni meba. Dede bete leba nyumo ga shenwa rang chile dine kwa la dus kortang rinpoche sangtang chirwa. 다 딘데지 코코당 림바들 상리하고 스탄바이나 심쟁 동행 농당 되게 됐어. 동행 에너지 되게 되게. 동행 에너지 되게 즉 상바이나 다 동행 되다 되네 레바 녀몽 제바. 레바 녀몽 왕 용구여 봐. 되게 저 상타인데나 동행 교다 제바라 텐데 그 인지스게. 대화 텐데 그 창바스게. 동해 텐데게 인지스게. 대니 야고치 여봐 얘나 대 장주고 씀스단 독밤에 용거레스 장주고 씀스데 간에서 참바다 니지 야고치 얘나 장주고 씀데 용거레 마도 참바다 니지 씀데 야고치면 장주고 씀 요야가 나가요 말이야 아 참바다 니지 야고치 용을 쳐봐라 심지 코 쿠즈가 남샤들 상로 마타나 참바다 니지 용다냐 말이야 알레 도스카라 찔라봐 내가 14보라 탑시치기
So, in order to arise bodhicitta, the mind of awakening, there need to be certain preliminary practices that open the path for developing bodhicitta. So, which are these preliminary steps? They are the cultivation of loving kindness and compassion. How do we do that? We do that by thinking and contemplating the state of sentient beings, seeing how sentient beings are stuck. They are stuck in suffering, in the way how they experience taking birth after birth after birth in cyclic existence, and therefore encountering limitless, innumerable amounts of suffering there, and seeing that sentient beings are really not free at all in this experience, that they are overpowered by their own afflictions, by karma that is caused through afflictions and so on. And that keeps them repeating again and again the same patterns within samsara and going through innumerable amounts of suffering. And therefore, when we think about that, the state in which sentient beings are in, the state of suffering, then one starts to cultivate these heart qualities. The wishes, may all sentient beings be free from suffering, and that will be, and the causes of suffering, which is compassion, and then also loving kindness, which is may they be happy and have the causes for true happiness. And this is then what brings us towards closer and closer towards bodhicitta. And therefore, bodhicitta can only arise when there are compassion and loving kindness, when these get stronger and stronger. Otherwise, there is no way for bodhicitta to arise. Therefore, we need loving kindness and compassion for bodhicitta.
champada tsewa sede keshin bo shibu cha yende ale dambo ni chanju sem gewa la champada yinji gongore champada yinji ma gona chanju sem ge la ga me da de ya da ninji chambo se gyula gewa la ale be yidu wa yong ge chamba se de gyula gewa mo do ro da yong chamba se de kande sigire bes da ksula de ne da yong chamba ge tabshi chigin be da sang da yende le soso thomar soso ge zewe mada baje sanda mada ya lona gengwa cha de ye de ji ge majil sanda soso ge da mada bude da soso se mang za che shen de chi ge che shi cha de ge yore da ge che shi cha de ge rang ge tin ge made dini Matela ta sache ki tewa okasa sami ki tewa ta khalaye. Tene be sache ki tewa ya mindu sache ki tewa tanya mindu sambachi. Tene be kabi kibun du saji yungu yor te kibu yege de tungenge lam kyanja. Kibu tsor chigidu de kibu yunga je tsor chigidu. Tsor shabasa tabshi chigidu. Kibu yunga ga tabshi chigidu de yene ya di tsabla kibu yunga 기부 용액 쳐도 탑시 지겨야 돼. 얘네 동행이 규장이야 두대게도.
Amadi, tapi amashane.
아, 소스 마디게로. 동행 규장이야 두대고. 제가 동행 규장이야 두대는 아마들라 대화다 크네. 좋아. 대화 연다 야 말아 봐. 두에도 동행이 규두대게요. 될다. 대화 윤도 싸워내 야 말아 봐. 다 근데 임바진도 다 동행이 규두대면 다 치마. 따라쳐봐. 다 치마다 녀손도 라마도 민두세. 디네베 친딜라에 대화 로친데 대화 좀 민두 콘자 대화 가서 두가 전에 동행 주장에 두대 봐인도 친딜라에 대화면도 제 치마는 녀손도에 다 쳐샤. 디네지라마 통대샤. 다 대화 풍샤. 뭐? 다 디네지다 디네 매바 인데다 대다 렌지 소소게 다 시우저 자치가 아마데 다 대원데 덴바시 고고야를 대화다 디비주던 덴바시 고고야 다 덴달라 덴달라 미나데네 디데게 랑게 칭칭게 마데 대화단다 치마로 삼바치 대화단 덴바로 큐르치 삼바치 대화단 덴바 다게 차우냠데 삼바치 이게 뺐으면 다가서 많이 받아 그러면 인고 리베드네 깨토에게 상워지 데지 깨인데 영웅이 참바 공부하시라고요. 알레드레스 라고지다. 망다스야 그냥.
Triduta sintrigyavyu. In order, therefore, to generate bodhicitta, we need to cultivate loving kindness and compassion. So first, one starts with cultivating loving kindness. We all know that loving kindness and also love are very important qualities. So one starts with training in the mind of loving kindness. So how do we do that? It is normally easy, or could be easy, to think of one's mother, because the mother is a person in our lives that we are very connected to, who has been incredibly kind to us, who is for many, or has been for many, the most important person. So therefore, in our mind, we have a very strong connection towards our mothers, and especially when they age and get older and then need us as the children to take care of them and so on. So one thinks of one's beloved mother and how immensely kind she has been. And one reflects about the state of things, so that actually our mother is definitely not endowed with uncontaminated joy, so joy that would never turn into suffering, but also then very hardly is she encountering contaminated joy, so just basic joy, because there's never a state of joy or happiness that lasts and does not change into suffering at some point. So although sometimes there might be an experience of joy, then at some point it will transform into sorrow or pain or something unpleasant. So although our mother also, of course, just wants to be happy, and tries to be happy and well, she accomplishes a lot of, not knowingly, a lot of causes for suffering. And therefore, of course, from causes that are not are going to lead to suffering, there will also no joy arise from that. So that will be impossible from such causes to arise, to have joy of well-being out of that. And from these kind of causes, negative causes basically, also in the future, there will be no pleasant states inside. There will be maybe a rebirth even in the lower realms that's going to happen. So also then there is no state of well-being or happiness inside for her. So this sentient being, my beloved mother, who has been so incredibly kind to us, she should be happy. She should be endowed with the causes for real happiness. And therefore, so this is the whole contemplation process. And therefore, at this point, there's really this urge, like, I have to do something about it. It has to happen. She needs to be free from joy, free from suffering. She needs to have happiness and a cause of happiness in the future. May that be so. And then even stronger, may I be the one to cause this. May I be the one to provide her with well-being and lasting happiness. So when this wish really is born from the depths of our bones, as the Tibetans say, then that's when we have generated loving kindness. That's what.
Yeah, that in this channel, that Chambesem do Tuskara. So some market that Kiranga Cheshu Sure is not mining but about Pecha and Sumuya. That the day in the Tamadi to the Kone, Madi Unity, the Wada TV Judan Dano, Chimaron, Dembra Kurchi, Dema Taki Chow, some Geshe. Those got a sim judge sim Nala Muni get up, Kiranga sim Nibu rebating it, that is some Munatane. Check it. Chambashu Chambus getting the dish in so again, Shandala sound, Shandala sound. Gali, then the pop. She toggled the Simja Tamjil sound. So Tana so get da. So get Megala Shibucha Sadela sound. Teda, Tetamja, then so get Zewege Martin, Chico Chica, the one again Chico Chica. Teda Chico Chica, there wasn't Dana Chimaro. Then there was an Dembra Kurchi Sambachi. Then there was an Damba Target Chow, number Sim Gene. Sim Jepuna covered in the Chambashke, Tapshi.
So the question for this contemplation basically is, with whom should we start with? With someone who is the most dear to our hearts. So for some, that could be our mother. So just in the way how this individual, this being, wishes to be happy, and understanding that that's so hard actually to happen, that really generating the wish, may that actually be so. It has to happen. It has to become a reality that this person dear to my heart will be happy and possess the causes of happiness. May that be so, and may I be the one to bring this about. And then wishing this from the depths of our bones, then is really when loving kindness has arisen, and then we start to expand it to other sentient beings who are close to us, like friends, family, and so on. And then from there, one expands it to a larger and larger amount of sentient beings, up to the point that one can even comes to include one's enemies or people who cause difficulties or are unpleasant. And one then extends exactly the same wish to all of them, the wish of loving kindness. May they be happy and possess the causes of happiness. May that really be so. May I be the one to bring that about. Until one then finally encompasses all sentient beings.
대화단 덴바리 규지 세게 대화 컨디션 덴바리 규지 기랑 상단게 대화단 덴바 타게 차오 세게 대화디 기랑 컨디션 대화 컨디션 덴바 기랑 차오 쓰기에 네 지긴 있어 쓰기에 또 사망 알아서 쌤 나와라 시토에 탑시제 계신 보시래
Marikon brik shira gotsuma son kandis dinde samlo tayon du
제가 아주 대화단 대외 교단 덴바리 내는 가서 대화단 대외 교단 되는 찜으로 상고고야 봐
tan chimarung lamna ngepar durinde yongo gyores
아니, 또 요구도 상관없는 예뻐도 다 대화다 대외교단 남바 최고도 세지와. 제가 예뻐도 최고도 대화다 대외교단 남바 큐르치 스타트 문에 용어로 쇼 세지. 당문에 용어다 나랑 게 지인이 있으라고요.
그래
다게 차오 스선 소소 임구를 하삼께래 계시기요.
ngaranki genkurne
나 누세 제가 다 덴데기 대화당 세게 대화도 그냥 대화 간대지는 문제 지기 대외 교단 내버려 교주세 대외 교대 간대지다 쓰기 제가 먼저 대화도 내가 그 대화 짱 많이 봐 대화도 땐도 대화를 싸우다 대외 교대 땐도 대외 교 하고서
그래 하고서
와단 대답한 데나 치모르세요 덴데기 쌤디 생진 직접 말하게 된도 상단에 되는 공연도가라 문에 잠바 채는 것도 공부야 다 되대.
So we make these wishes and these reflections that help to open the heart for these wishes. So then for the wishes may these beings or this being be happy and possess the causes of happiness. That really, and then not only just leaving it as a wish, as you saw, it's really also about that has to happen. There's like no way around it. May that be so, and I will be the one to do this. I will be the one to make sure that this happens. So when we make this wish, may they be truly happy. Then what happiness are we talking about? May they possess the causes of happiness. What causes of happiness are we talking about? We are not talking about just a passing, a transient kind of happiness, a temporary happiness. We are not talking about that, but we actually wish them true, lasting happiness. And this we wish to all. We train the mind to come to encompass all sentient beings without leaving a single one aside. And then when that happens, when we are able to train in that way and reflect in that way, then authentic loving kindness has been born.
그렇죠. 다들은 그냥 신전에 되는 민지 공백하고 심진 다 소소하게 전쟁에 만디든 토말 싸우다게 다 대든 대 동에게 나주 싸우다 되네 동에게 나주 야구서 미네급스 동에 깨완들 하이네급스 동에 냐소송이 내가 그 동에 근데 상담 봐야나 야나 동에게 동에 유 동에 캬번 도지기 동에서 상담한데 야나 깨와다 가와다 나와다 치유 동에서 상담한데 다 된다 가인스나 동행기 예세라 체나 치마로 세죠. 태워를 큐르치 세상과 태워 타게 차우 선배선게 두스 공바들라 닌지 공바스 말아베미 닌지 공바스라 데라 유리 고나타 만디다 랑게 핀셴다 녜셴다 치부치강 디탐제 동에다 동에 교다 타나 치마로 태워를 주지 대화 다게 자오. 얘네 랑 타고도 이게 심지 여도 줘봐. 타마소서 자연전에 랑게 제외 맞다 치고 치자래. 대탄저 동에다 동에 교다 참아 치마로 태워를 주지. 태워 다게 자오. sabbe 심 깬 단도스가 깬에 야고 치고네. 이네 동에 대한 맞아 내가 그 동네 내 나서 치세요 많이 봐. 그 사실 녀원은 풍비 동네 풍부들 루치기 주 내가 녀모 타나 시득이 집어다 잡아라 타나 치문을 잡아 주지 잡아 따게 잡아
Kamadela, Kadesa,
시득이 집어
Shedriki, Driba.
시제 집어 야나 시득 민주다 시득 세죠 집어 탐불에 살아 사케나들라 카운트나
Digriya.
뭐 두스카라 상타야 와다 다나 치문을 잡아 주지 잡아 따게 잡았어 두스카라 심 신지 제만라바제 심지 유도 잡았어 텐도 상타네 두스 공유데 니지 공바스 니지다 이나로 맞추는 신지 제매바 인도자 반니지 차는 봐 저거요
Tangma, Chikiang Malupa Yuna.
나 지금 하스나 디가 니지 차롱어서
So then one also trains in cultivating compassion. And also here, for many, it is easy to start or helpful to start with one's own mother, because she was the kindest person in one's life. So one starts to reflect about her and about how she experiences suffering in all the various ways, how she's struck by suffering and disease and whatever, sickness, all kinds of sorrows. And you might want to reflect about that in whatever way, thinking about the various forms of suffering and so forth, so that then when you become aware of the various kind of suffering, that there is the wish, actually, may she be free from that. So may she be free from whether you are reflecting about the suffering that is experienced in samsara as a whole in various states, whether that's a human state or a heavenly realm, or whether it's the lower realms, but also you could reflect about the suffering of the three types, so the suffering of change, or all pervasive suffering, or the suffering of birth, old age, sickness, and death, and so forth. So may she really be completely free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And then developing this further towards the thought that actually has to happen. She really has to become free from this. May that be so. And then I will be the one to make sure that this happens. And then once we have trained with this loving person, then we expand and train with more individuals that are dear to our hearts, family, friends, and so on. May they also be free from suffering and the cause of suffering, and so forth. And then one comes to include more and more sentient beings, up to the point that also enemies and difficult people are included. The same wishes extended to all of them. So we are also here in the same way not wishing for them to be free from some kind of temporary suffering, but from the true causes, roots for suffering, the causes that bring about this contaminated skandhas, this existence in samsara, and therefore karma, afflictions, the ways of cognition, and so on. So really extending the wish, may all sentient beings, without leaving a single one aside, be free from suffering and the true causes of suffering. And when we meditate like this, reflect like this, wish like this, encompassing all sentient beings without leaving a single one aside, then one has generated authentic compassion.
just
So
다도 전에가서 고민인데 다 잠바다 인지 고민서 고민도 두스가 고민한다. 와 잠바다 인지게 탑시 쳐봐. 쓰러. 먼저 상을 타가는 걸 봐야 돼. 동행 상 땅인데 나라도 동해다 유로 동해 죽을로 상을 맞아. 대외 상 땅에 나라도 코에 난게 다 사동 튕기 수부 최대 된데게 대화 상 상을 맞아. 대화도 땡도 대화 타바다 탐제 김베 대와서지다 대외 규서를 써나 타바다 탐제 김바 도이게 규를 파서 동에서도 코에 동에 여자 하나 윤주다 시주다 도저에 동행콘 샤네 도저 동행이 규리 동행이 뭐하리 사마르다 대다 다 차나치마로 세상다 와 대다 최고 같이 다 로서 근데 인데다 대화가 대위 교다 나나 치마로 동행다 동행이 교다 차나치마로 대화를 규지 오다 대화다 내말 규지 동행이 교다 대화를 규지 대화 동행이 교다 대화 타게 차오 대위 교다 대화 타게 차오 생겨 다 된대지 다 나라도 상로다 공적 된대지 제바 대 당원의 내주증은 melom 제도 좀더 많이 봐 상로시당 고야 봐 다서 melom 저 되게 제라 상로다는데 제사래야 근데 나 봐지 와 문에 셈나 좋아지니 고야 맞아
So in that way, we should try to generate loving kindness and compassion. And therefore, remember that it's not only a limited amount of joy that we wish, or certain types of joy, or certain types of suffering that we wish to remove, but it's really about the lasting happiness, really wishing all sentient beings to be in the presence of lasting happiness, that is that which comes with liberation and full Buddhahood, and the causes that lead to this experience of lasting joy. And then also with suffering, may they be free from all sorts of suffering and from all causes of suffering, even the tiniest veils of afflictions and cognitions. So may they be free from everything that causes suffering. And as we have heard, the main aspects of the wish are that, first of all, this has to happen. Like, that's not optional. This has to happen. May that be so, and I will be the one who makes sure that this happens, that all sentient beings are endowed with joy and the causes of true joy, and that all sentient beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So in that way, then we train and we meditate, and we should make sure that this does not remain a mere wish, just like sitting there folding their hands and repeating some phrases and okay, finished, now I go to my job. No, it should really be something that causes, that moves us. There should be some kind of taste and flavor of this when we cultivate like that.
다 참아도 인지세 상바세도 그냥 가와 주나 그냥 가와 되나 균도네 상당과 차고요 마도지 나도 약게 침을 줘두고요 말했어 그냥 그 셈나로 다음에 인지민지 양아도 대 미래자 가시 냠도 좀도 가나 상당 소주고 대도 가나 상마다지 되나 되게 말했어 하도도 소주고 대be 가로 상당은 대 야가랬어 주도 상로대 야가당의 고급지라고 알았다.
가르치네.
가인스는 소소를 디스터브 체인도 아티냐이라. 이제 저는 소소 그셈 들라 거 냠는데 야가는 거 다들다.
Tadi kapsula yang kuam gore segura.
다 검제도 가 시간을 와 제 토사야 로가 준제데 데로 거 녀로랑에 데 메로 봐. 제가 하나도 셈 장고요. 셈 장도 가마 도세 균도네 지금 상단에 계셔. 상보스의 균도네 상단에 계시면 쉬우셔야 돼요.
리 kawa drone yang kawa dene tangi song. And we should really not forget this. We should remember this. Try to remember this also outside of your formal meditation session. Because often, it might be we recite it and then as soon as we leave the cushion, we forget. But that's really not what practicing Dharma means. Practicing Dharma is not something that happens only in the temple or in your own home or the Sangha place. So in fact, practicing the Dharma, which entails a lot, training in loving kindness, in kind-heartedness, friendliness, and compassion, should really be something that you bring into wherever you go, whatever you do, wherever you stay, wherever you abide. And therefore it's not something to be practiced maybe only those times when you are in a group and there is a good vibe and you share this. In fact, it is very powerful that to practice this also when you are alone, because in those moments there is no one that disturbs you. And Geshe says that's one of the reasons why some practitioners retreat into solitary places, because there they can really focus and practice in an undisturbed way. So we should really bring this practice into all kinds of situations and yes.
다 된대인데 다 된대게 그냥 심쇼 간다시켰어 슬라드 심진지가 말을 봐라 대화당 대외 교단 대바시 제약이 그냥 심쇼요 봐 동네기 교단 제발라 줘야게 되네 저토버 제약이 되네 그냥 심쇼 된대시켜 봐 사 심쇼 된대지 그냥 두두래 그냥 제두그래 그냥 용거를 했으나 제가 내가 나라 때 민두 나라 때 누가 가야 돼 내가 인디다 가르쳐 버렸으나 네 남게 계획 고마스 타버 치고 그래 나 전주쌤 깨고 그래 저와 전주쌤 깨네 남게 계획 고마 좀 다 네 타버 치고 그래 와다 지다 제바이나 키랑기라 참바 닌지 도스케 연도 간에 그냥 간상의 편도 두두고야 돼 이네 터도 너도 용조 두두와잖아 라인라 상기 고마 타고 야마다 지 용토야 말아
Du janju sendi kapsu kie parve.
다 전죽샘세 되잖아 참바다 닌지라 때네 다치 그런 그 강에서 화삼 걸리게와 대화나 대외 교단 덴바치 네 지금이 야봐 동네도 동네 교단 저와라 네 지금이 있어라서 그냥 두고를 버스 조지요 다 조지래기로 받더라 그런 거 들에 제두고를 봐 그런 게 좀 말했어
그래.
그냥 다 얘네가 다다 나를 고급도 민도데 네 강에서 심진 디다게 참바다 닌지 삼바야 우치라 때네 네 디다라 때네 당면에 되네 남기 개가 고마는 뭐지 진에게 타버 책임이 타버시 당연히 제 타버 책임이 있어 시전 가서다 시전내주 멀리봐 시토바지 책임이 시저탄제 시토바지 맞으면 샘정의 대탐제 루트바다 용어 말해 하고서 샘정의 대탐제 루트를 쳐발라 시전 멀리봐 시토바지 고고야 다시 좀 어디로 시도가 전혀 적으니 간이서 심정 더 멀리 두버 쳐고요. 누가 심줄게네. 심줄게 컵실은 가도 어디 쳐고요. 봐. 제가 책으로 좀 제스를 계시 못 두스가 쳐고요.
So of course that is a very bold and confident statement to say, I will be the one to do it. I will make sure that this happens for sentient beings. How could we be so confident? So can we really actually do it? I mean, we can say it, we can wish it, but can we really do it? The answer is that for the moment, we cannot. We cannot at the moment tend to this commitment, I will be the one to free all sentient beings from suffering, and I will be the one to make them happy. So this altruistic wish, this altruistic superior mindset cannot be put into action right now from our side, because we do not have all the powers to do so. So what can we do about that? We can commit to attain full enlightenment, the state in which we actually become possible to really make this happen. And so we can, of course, benefit our sentient beings to some amount with the qualities of loving kindness and compassion, but we are not able to free them fully from suffering and to really establish them in lasting joy. So in order to make that happen, we really need the omniscience, the knowledge about all knowables, of all everything that's there, anything that's there to know, in order to be beneficial for all sentient beings, in order to spread enlightened activity. So we need to become fully enlightened, and that's why then also the study of the Dharma is so important, and that's how we generate bodhicitta.
I'm not happy, Sejaro. 제가 디 가는 되게요 말아서 라친싱 토는 되게요. 와 라친싱세 되게 봤더니 나나나서 선조매와 인도서 소소마 기분 참아드네요 되게요. 나 기분민도 내심 기분민도 세다 내 수고 기분도 내서 가르다야. 내심 기분민도 세차 인도가 왔다 딱 가리 먼저 버려봤어. 수수기 라친싱 숙청보여 봤더니 먼저 버려. 다 참바다 닌지돌 상땅에 미치 님바이나 소소 나기부 민두세게 상우들레 메레 그냥 가와 코파게 신진 셰 대화나 대외주는 내게 상우스탄 되게요 셰 동네도 동네기 줄에 트랙 상우스탄 되게 저 라스도 가와요 민두가 뭐야 네, 그냥 상담에 되게 참참지 수수기 뭐지 무예서래서 딱 나라 진짜 숙취무들이 열다 소소소소라 누구도지
So there's actually a really strong quality of braveness and confidence that's being generated here, because we are wishing to bring about happiness and a state of being free from suffering for all sentient beings without leaving a single one aside, and not just on a temporary way, but really on a lasting level, on a lasting sense. And the confidence can be generated because we at the same time commit to making sure that we will become Buddhas, so that we will be beneficial for all sentient beings. So therefore we also, it's not that this confidence is, you know, just like a statement in the void, but there is really a ground for generating this confidence. And a practitioner who meditates on loving kindness and compassion in the way as it was explained will never, you know, complain, saying, oh, I'm not good, I'm not well today. Of course the person can have physical problems that cause a state of not being well, but saying, for example, you know, sometimes we say, oh, I'm not happy, and we cry, and we get really sad about ourselves or something like that. That will not happen to a practitioner who constantly contemplates and connects with the qualities of loving kindness and compassion. Why? Because when we contemplate, when we practice loving kindness and compassion, we are focusing on others that are not than ourselves. We are focusing on others, and therefore there is no way for our ego trip to arise to make me feel, oh, so much so pity about myself, because that's actually when we feel like that, oh, I'm so sad, I'm so poor, and stuff like that. That's a sign that we have a very strong ego clinging, and that we take ourselves as somebody very important. So actually Geshe says that sometimes we could, you know, point the fingers at ourselves when we are stuck in self-pity or stuff like that, that actually, yeah, this is me cherishing my ego a lot in this moment. So that's what happens. And therefore when we do practices where we focus actually on other sentient beings, there's no way that the ego comes into the foreground, because these two are opposites. Really, rangla pengire so.
자산 현도 주시나 당부 소설 변기야. 전주 선바도지 현도 주신다라. 제가 코로나도 전주 선바 찼습니다. 나도 될 하러 봐. 어딘데? 근데 인도 현기 생구로 같이 쇼 쳐알라 봐 대점지 소설게 나세디 충 가서 쇼도 충을 친제 랑친진의 쇼 가다의 쇼 충을 친제 대 가르치기 도스라데 소소라 먹기비 초아대 용어야 말다. 계속 먹기비 초아질래 윤도 가나 남사 뭐 신경이야. 야 가르치면서 산타다 가르치는 데면서. 나 대바심을 신경이 말해. 내 다나쇼고는 상계 초는 속에 초는 전주 바로 다네 겹서 치었어. 근데 겹서 치면서. 다게 저서 겹서 소는 게 돌아다니지 상계 두버셔. 근데 소는 sikde tela sangche tang ma songe kanere sosola dewa ta ne ngara chu nyami je sala kabla pere de de khande ngi shi pe ja ma ko che lo cha da ya me ma je sanglo chenda ji sanglo kyun ma da ma yena de ma zo gar so re che yang da ba che si ge ma che yang da ba che so ni ji mi ji so sem de ta shu da shi wa dang lo sem da ji je wo re
rang chedin kena ni dikha so te samno tana kyo ngone melang gyai be shem rota dikhe charwa. So what's the point here? The point is that it's very important to think about others, to to make others the focus of our thinking and so on. And in the first stage, it's not that that's necessarily what will really benefit them, but actually it will benefit us. So that's the funny thing. By bringing about the benefit of others, by focusing on benefiting others, we are actually benefiting ourselves. That's how the bodhisattvas became bodhisattvas. They became bodhisattvas because they committed to benefiting others. And we committing to benefit ourselves are still here. You see, that's the funny thing. And why is it beneficial to us? Because when we focus on others, that's how the ego fixation gets less and less and less. And that's what causes all our problems and our feeling unwell and so on. That's the ego fixation. So that gets loosened when we focus and think about others, turn our focus towards others. And then we will really have less and less of these moments. Oh, I'm so poor, or I don't feel well, I'm sad, and stuff like that. And in the case that such moments happen, where you maybe feel really sad about yourself, or just I don't feel well, and my mind is not happy, and stuff like that, then Geshe says, then those are times to investigate and reflect about, actually, have you taken refuge this morning? Have you connected to the Mahayana teachings? Have you not contemplated the practice of refuge? Have you not taken refuge in the three jewels? You did, and therefore remember that. Remember what you committed to. Think about the refuge. Think about your commitment to benefit all sentient beings and so on. So because that's really an essential part of the Dharma practice, to, as much as you can, get to know your mind and investigate yourself.
심진균 되도 용조 줘봐라 남기 개회 고마 마토나 탑민도 세치로 제가 남기 개회 고마 탑으로 쳐봐라 시전에 멀리가 시고도 내가 장고도 중달제고도 내가 로존제고도 제가 키랑도 로존 같이 해봤대 심진균 된주에 쳐도 남기 개회 고마 탑에 쳐도 근데 제인데 그냥 그 축을 좀 잡아도 대탐제 강이 있으나 다 겨울로 친구 쉬어시간 친구래.
가르 친구래?
겨울로 친구 쉬어시.
겨울로 친구.
겨울에 딱 친구 쉬어시 차래. 심정이 되던 주의에 쳐도래. 남기 개회 고마 탑에 쳐도래. 제단데 롭좀 잡아대 팬도 자 친구 쉬어시간 누구야래. 다 근데 그냥 상 코아이나 상 두스가라 전에 그냥 지기나 야 된 소소소소라 야 뽑아게 버려 아 나라 미 야구니 세지와 내 심지 지가 말이버 토라 문에 지기 대다게 대화 도에서 동행게 사이에 쳐도 내 상무시다기도 와 근데 상 당연게 지딩 감 되게 너무 뉴뉴 셔버지래 나랑 그 된대 토라 상무시다기도 와 야구 싫어래 소소소소라 가고야 돼 계신 거래 나미두자니 스테겨 말에 nye yung 말에 nye jing 말에 nye 설전에 소소소 shum바견에 되겨 말에 두다랑아 야세다 제베 진주 넘버다고 하죠 녜베 두 남도야 체 삼에 상무식 땅고
So as much as you can, practice loving kindness and compassion, and in order to bring true benefit and bestowing to sentient beings their wishes, you need to become a Buddha, you need to become fully enlightened. And in order to become fully enlightened, you need to learn and gain the knowledge of all knowables, how they say. of all fields of knowledge that, yeah, of you need to gain all knowledge and wisdom, and you don't do it therefore just for your own sake, but you do it for the sake of all sentient beings, for the sake of enlightenment. And therefore, because this is such a noble goal, you accomplish a lot of merit by that. Really, really strong and powerful merits, that because you are doing all of this for enlightenment, for all sentient beings. And therefore, this process that you are dedicating yourself to is really a reason to generate the Tibetan word is kind of, it's a little bit like pride, but not in a bad sense, in a sense of confidence and being proud of yourself, that actually you are doing something amazing. So we really have to also train in celebrating our own accomplishments, these really positive accomplishments, and reflecting about what amazing thing we are actually doing here. Because how many people in this world are actually thinking about others? How many people are actually committing to something like becoming enlightened so that they can be of benefit to all sentient beings? That's something incredibly rare and incredibly precious. So you can really train also, that's very important, in rejoicing in your own deeds. That's very, very important, and not, think, oh, maybe get discouraged at the end of the day. Oh, I wasn't able to do this or that. Oh, I will never make it. It's just I'm not in the position to ever do this. You really should not get discouraged, but instead really celebrate your commitment, celebrate this positive accomplishment and positive commitment that you are following, that you are carrying in your heart, and really use this to again strengthen your motivation and say, I will do it. Actually, I can do it.
Yeah. I do my best. What you part to some down here. She was getting more. What? Kira Kawa Drona. Kira Kawa Dana. Sudayama Dojajam. Susuki, Mone, Ganda Nutru Marshall, Tapshi the Yamacho.
Notru Mashalwa.
Nutru Marshall, Tapshi Joe.
Notru Karido.
That not a lie, so sure. Damate Gioro, Lung Lai sort of Tendatan, Tado Lai sort of Tendatan, Najeji sort of Tendatan, Chioro, with the dig jig the Mayan Tapshi chocolate. Sit to Jala sort of Tendatan, Numju to Jatan sort of Tendatan. Maya chocolate. Kadijim by the Suyam to Brayananda, Suyam to Dananda, Kawandrona, Karachaba Inayam. Sending Nala, Nye get Taran Shogun, the Tamja Karashaya, Sinjing get the wardrobe. Nega with the wardrobe, Tatu with the wardrobe, Nege, Melon in a dish to Javier. Sinjing a nega with Dungan and Tatu with Dungan and a Sag at Chaboneg, Melon in a theatre of Javier, Jambu in a dish of the Chayer. Chambata Nijra, the theatre in your Pomir, Kamshi Chayer. Yeah, Chanjuk told Gag Melon Javier, Chanjuk Sim to Congo Chayer, they should do. Sinjing Bear. Carso, Dodo Yonzo to yes, Elan, Yoya Mindu, the Yene, Tessing Nego Chinyas, Mune, Kalakansam Chitan, Nakamba put to edge, troop to edge, troop to the Nano bear, troop some much. I do my best, Tata Char.
Nima rere langa to test chick tick parere or lupanashra.
Yeah, those go.
So there's a sentence Geshe said, I do my best. And that's a very, very good sentence. And we really should stick to this. Wherever we go, wherever we abide, we should make sure that we do not, fall into some old patterns that are actually harming, that where we commit certain mistakes out of anger or pride, maybe jealousy, and so on. We should really try to avoid this as much as we can, and we train and be getting more and more alert in avoiding these things. And instead of falling back in these unwholesome patterns, remembering the commitment that we made in the morning. So the commitment that I will make sure that all sentient beings are happy and possess the causes of true happiness. I will make sure that all sentient beings get free from suffering and the true causes of suffering. And remembering that all the wishes that we do them for this purpose. All the times we go for refuge, we do it with this purpose. All the times we cultivate loving kindness and compassion, it is for this goal. So that we can become fully enlightened, to be able to accomplish all wishes for sentient beings and release their suffering and so on. And therefore committing day by day to this and training in avoiding negative patterns, we do something bit by bit. We actually do something that benefits day by day, day by day, day by day. So we are actually really doing our best on a daily basis. We really do something that is very valuable. So therefore that line really works well. I do my best.
Langdorge ne senamendo tata chashi chawa kan yeba tamje ngarazo sheku yore. Dereji kasurada pemba tusegi semjengi kamda semjengi mebada kam menroada meba menroada soba teta tanje ngarazo sheku yore.
Semjengi mebashigo mato yang pen tugi marwa.
Da dendeji yongala shebar chebala dendege kamda meba shijegi ne tashi tawa shebala bardo chebe tibadege de pangu yare madoji yoya yomare. Cheda dendeji yongala sangi ge chugu gomasri nyebar tabu yare.
Sangi ki kobang.
Sangi ge gomasri lapshindu. Sangi ge gomang tabu yare. Kaya sana senjengi dodo moluba tubala wo dendeji kuwares. 제가 데 뭐좀봐도 나 semjengi 전 죽으면서 다되나 용으로 왜지? 그 용해 용 말해. 니리는 아주 제 저거로 나도. 네 semje 탐제게 대화 죽이 동네 세기니. 나 상계 고마 탐내 죽이 대원을 제 지금에서 라나 지금 말했어.
좀니 인세.
와 제마 지금이 상 개베 제수 지금이 상 마경mol라 지금에서 내 봐줘. 해보세요.
Dann karinge ta shejene la jangi me tangak lamsang sanggegi inse.
말.
Ale.
그냥 안에서 심정게 된 용조 주발라.
Rere sange gore. Shejene diha koso.
바로 두디로는 상게. 시전에 말로 봐 셰고.
Re.
아 심정에 칸다 매발라서 봐. 내가 탐지 셰고. 내가 대시에 발라. 내 탐지 셰발라 봐도 저게 집어도 빵고 여러마도. 요야야 말해. 집어도 빵인데 추구스 타버. 상게게 추구스 타버. 이 상게 말이다. 이 심정에 도도 말로 두투 그래. 이 마종게 봐도 심정에 도도 말로 두투에 야 말해.
그래.
이 야 말에 있는 거나서 니리 나와네. 간도 지도 그 심정에 전주에 탑시 상 땅고요. melom인지 깍고요. 삼바게 고쪽으로 먼저.
네.
로 장고서 되더라. 어디야?
So in order to really become able to granting all the wishes sentient beings have, we need to become learned and fully knowing about the nature of all things. In other words, one could also say we need to obtain the knowledge about everything that has to be cultivated and that has to be given up. So among that, there is also the knowledge, for instance, regarding the mindset of sentient beings, who are the ones that we want to benefit. So one needs to acquire the knowledge that really understands the dispositions they have, the various interests that they have, backgrounds, and so on and so forth. Therefore, one also needs to give up the veils that stand in the way of that. And when that has happened, when all these veils that stand in the way of this final knowledge, the true knowledge of the nature of all things, then one becomes a Buddha and one obtains the Dharmakaya. So therefore, in order to really becoming able to benefit sentient beings, we have to become fully enlightened, fully awakened Buddha. And in order to make that happen, the practice is every day. Every day we do whatever we can. I do my best day by day. So I try to benefit sentient beings in whatever way I can that day. I make the various aspirations and wishes. I renew my commitments and my intentions and so on. And I train in cultivating a loving heart day by day.
Running Doba Dena, she tired, seems to chicken, whatever chicken says sound. Minduba Dungere, Doba de Taware. Guys, no? Dunge the dollar seems to come to Dungele check over the car, Dunge Mindubici. Can't do Dungele check over, they cannot Dunge the Dugu one, to the mother Mindu. Somebody the mother Mindu. Cannot there was Google, cannot there was Dugu. Then she's tired, seems to did not chicken is, Ramba chicken is. 제가 런이 동네를 태고 봐나 시 타이의 심지어든지 동네를 태고 있는지 들어 상당해. 얘는 런이 동네를 전대여 봐. 대단지 타이의 심지어 내 탐제 나 동네를 장아치 마음 쓸싸다. 대화단 대나 치마음 쓸싸다지. 런이를 대외교단 된고이나 타이의 심지어 대단한 대외교단 된거 같이 봐. 런이 동네 교단 잡아라. 저고이나 심 타이의 심지어 대단 판지야. 동네 교단 잡아라. 저고와 치부치강. 런이라 남기 개고 막 타고이나 타이의 심지어 대단한 타. 다가라시니 저 타고 치부치강이 뭐 상다죠. 누스가랑 안아서 로 장에 탑시 누스가를 제바이나 다 니네 나와 셈삼고 누스가를 깨바이나 다 야겐 로야게 시여요래 데미 계산 그림바 당보디 편도 당보도 소소가는 되겠다 소소라 뭐기도 초대게 영화야 말다 된다
Kan Yankir Tamadi?
소소 뭐기바 영화야 되기 어디네 그 초대 링마다 소소라
If you just think about your own wishes, then you will also see that actually I myself want to be free from suffering, not just from one kind of suffering, but all kinds of sufferings and sorrows. And I want to be happy. I want to not just be happy today, but I want to obtain lasting happiness, lasting joy and well-being. And if you feel that way, why wouldn't sentient beings, all other sentient beings, feel the same way? They do feel exactly the same way. They also feel, I don't want to suffer, I want to be happy. That's what all of them wish. And therefore, if you don't want to suffer, then the same goes for all sentient beings. If you want to be happy, then that's the same goes for all sentient beings. They want exactly the same thing. And that's why we cultivate the wish, may that happen. May really all sentient beings, myself and all others, be free from suffering. May we all be happy. That really has to happen. May it be so. If I need to get happiness, then you can be sure that other sentient beings need happiness too. If I want to get free from suffering, other sentient beings need that too. I want to get enlightened, other sentient beings need that too. So this kind of contemplations are the ground for our development or strengthening of this practice and these commitments, these intentions. And whom will they benefit? First and foremost, they will benefit you. Because, for example, we have seen just a very, very quick benefit is the one that you don't get stuck all the time in your own mental patterns of, oh, poor me, and I'm not well, and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are some time by you know. So chubu then I give you
So Suzuki-po chagiyore.
Oh, so give you that. So chubu deva in so chubu have a kangari yamare.
Chibu.
Chibu deva, you know. Chibu deva kangari yama, that kerala. Carrier is a kerala sound in a tie ever sinking to sounds than the Yorba. Tie ever sinking single shoot chambers langiorba, could catch mulangiorba kerang. Tata do susula pobake, susula pobake. Naras the bullying digna chasa mid tunjur tunjustu. Digetina saltanda. Devan degen Naras chibichicare. Tungim minduge chibichicare. Yine digedi Mangshawade, Numo Tandola, Sewa Tandola. Chikichirung Gortaya Tandolang Chatin Tadayare, Tipa Bashi Saja Tadayare. Nara pen Missa Yagores, Susula Bavaja, Nara pen Missa Yagores.
Popakena Susula.
No, yet Sever Tamja Poyeg Sanrush Kugudu. Nye Numo Tandolang Mindu. Nye Numola Tachido Kyondo Dagidu. Gaze Tuduku Numola Kyondagadu. Gaze Tuduku Sawapaya Tabshichigidu. Haleva Yagorova, Susula Baba Jedwa. Simshu Chagwa Chimdua. Simlu Shumbaje, the Langa Chimdua, Susula. Numungu Zawa Timula Kyonja Dawachidu.
La.
Numu be Zawa Timu. Telang Anza Kyonjita. Timu Winsing Tabshisha. Timu Poya Tabshisha. Tendegi Kawa Sambo. One at the night. Halabari, Susula Povache. Nizumangu Shivju Damazola.
Retang and so pay Popaki over that.
No, the direction of Povache. Kawa Konjale. Wow. Jago, the next sometimes so church in to get it. Church about the Susu Povache get it. Povache is an Agajilla, Agella Kyondo Tagu, we are ranches in the Kyondo Tagu, we are. Dipajabala Kyondo Tagu, Povache, Susu Yanisha about the Povache. Nagage Marawati. Sembra Saint-Tubas,
Saint-Tubasena?
Niente, said Jerva.
Popa di la Core.
No, they'll go over my dodging. nye tumindu, nye jingumindu, nye yungi mare, nga chi Jesus ne dilbe so sem shungde na, te yaya ma ta.
That will actually, these kind of practices will actually make you very, very happy. And even if one, spends a lot of time alone and stuff like that, that one will not trouble us, because in our mind we are all the time connecting to countless infinite sentient beings, because you are concerned with so many sentient beings, you're connecting with so many sentient beings. And that again is really a reason to really celebrate yourself in this, and be proud of yourself. Because really, in how many, I don't know, billion beings we have on this earth, all of them want nothing but joy and being free from suffering. However, most of them, they do not cultivate the proper causes for this. They are just, acting out based on their afflictions. They are cheating and trying to gain as much benefit for themselves out of things. They are accomplishing a lot of negative actions. And therefore, the fact that you are not actually living in that way, that you are living in a conscious way, training in becoming a conscious, good, kind-hearted human being with such a noble goal in your heart and mind, that is really a reason to, at the end of the day, really be proud of yourself. Because I am training in giving up harm. I have understood that afflictions are to be given up. I am trying to give up negative actions. That's really a reason to be proud of yourself. You see, there is like no way actually to ever become sad about yourself again, because there are so many reasons to celebrate what you're doing, because that is extraordinary. And it's not about, when Geshe says be proud, it's not the pride from the afflictions. That's not that we are talking about, an ego-based and ego-fixated pride. It's rather the feeling of, I'll do it, I can do it, and rejoicing about your own actions and your own intentions. Because again, another reason would be you are trying to give up the root of all afflictions, which is ignorance. And so there are so many reasons as Dharma practitioners that we have to really celebrate ourselves, to really rejoice in our accomplishments, because we are gathering so much virtue. And therefore there are really, really so many reasons to be proud of yourself and to rejoice in your own merits and deeds. That's all.
냠타 그 심전 대다게 동에 규단 잡아 동에 규다다 규 레다 뉴모 로 대다 탐제 동에 규단 잡아 대다라다 제투바지 림부 미토 바테지 동에 규단 잡아라 제투바 대화지 야나 어떤데 저 림부를 믿어가지고 영어로 쇼 삼배더니 멜람게지 용거래.
Ale ringpo mito pasana ta gyokpo shongwa sho.
영어로 쇼 세 지금 멜람게지 용거래. 데이터를 셈 된데지 깨네 데이터로 검게지 용거래. 나도 할 레버라도 나도 나라도 벨거나 소소소소라 생도야게 시부지도와 생도 봤으나 소소소라
네, 뚜라타야, 소수쌤나 뚜라타.
소소쌤 딘데시키기야 아게 슈 시부지도와
네,
두세네 제가 그냥 다 캐리라지나 캐리답 나네다 이런 거 쉬워 대봐 인도가라 내 콘솔을 남기네 라고야 또 콘솔 가셔야 되나도
알레 캐리.
내 망고 라고야 제가 디린 게실라 쌤 기우메제 제 대샤스 키란스 통송에 라고야 아 키란스 지 고송했어 아 디린 게실라 롱라 대샤 어 디린 게실라 쌤 기우메제 그게 데 대샤스 디네 고송에 통송했어 로니슈나로 디 가레스라거든 먼저 같이 점루지 지기요래 쌤지게 탑시 지기요래 저마다니 지게 탑시 지 나라서 그래 쌤 냠녀도 요 말해대 이네 되게 좋아라 떼지요래 떼스는 없지 부지도와 잠잠장지도 부지 싫어도
벨바, 말해.
내가 뭐 부지인가 색 누스를 좀 지내지도 않나 진짜
알레 하고 마송.
누스가 테스트 로에 탑시죠 디까지는 때네 디리슨 기분 문제시 요하야 말이야 먼저
아소수 기란소 타게게 게셰 데서.
이게 제가 내 컨트롤 망고 나게 계란서 통송에 돼 나오게 뭐 니시나 통송에 돼
텅마송 랍송에.
님도 방 아주 비게 냠도 야봐
네.
아들이 제가 쌤 기분에서 대셔서 통송에 나게 계란서 돼 뭐야 맞지 때 사우지 당겨 봐 사우 때 담아데 거들라 때네 그 어디 기분에부터 수수 기분에부터 용거 말다 모두 상황 거서 계란서 니지미지 랑가디가 브라 탑시 쳐버렸어 봐
And that has also a lot of positive fruits that come from that rejoicing in yourself. For example, the generation of joyful effort, that we actually get really keen in practice and virtue, in accumulating virtue, that becomes really pleasant, and we want to do more of this. And not just superficially, but from the bottom of our hearts and minds, we will have the wish to do more and more of these beneficial things because they feel good and because it's something meaningful. And we will have more and more the wish to give up afflictions and to really work on this and transforming the mind. And we will have more and more the wish to generate, to make wishes and aspirations. They will come more and more naturally. And in these wishes, we will, include countless limitless sentient beings wishing may I be very quickly able to free all sentient beings from suffering and the causes of suffering, that is karma and afflictions and so on. And therefore this praising of your own mind and of your own positive deeds and your efforts and so on, doing your best, that really has a lot of benefits. And Geshe said, sometime some of you have been in Nalanda before, like Carrie and so and some others, for quite some time studying there with Geshe and others. And sometimes Geshe ask you, did you ever see me in 20 years or however long, did you ever see me one day saying, oh, I don't feel good, or maybe angry or something like that? And probably you didn't, but not because, Geshe says, not because I have this great experience of enlightenment and I have cultivated perfect bodhicitta and stuff like that. No, but because of the practice of refuge that I do again and again, because of the practice of loving kindness and compassion, because I try to cultivate bodhicitta. I do not have the experience, but sometimes there is, you know, a little bit, there's a taste in my mouth, a little like water gathering. There is some feeling, there something moves. It's not that there's an experience or realization, but there is something. And based on these practices, and therefore there is no, I and others who do this, we don't feel unhappy. And this is therefore really the path that we should engage in as well. Lamrim kapla.
Simja Tamja Slab, the Diganalo Kananga, Rikchik Sound Tango, the Munaka Simja Tamja Sound Tango, so Jordan.
Rikchik Sena Kandado.
Or draw Mitchell, or Susulunga, or Yangan, Chigaro, may draw what you go, Sam's and their mind. That do not chick. Nana the Melam the Java Capsula. Semi Shira just sound time the Capdala, or Tamasham the Gilrich Capdala. Simke Tapshi Chebe Capdala. Munachik didn't allow. So similar 200 Chile, Tapshi Chido Mindu. Sikamutamba Tara Yana Chik Samustan and Chichidu. Nana Sikamutumba there Pento Chia Yomarisalam and Jimare. That's the young Sibare. You know, Gajar Siba, you know. Gajar Gatambe Nalane, Sikamutumba de la Gaja Chega Chega Yomaris.
Gaja Chegas and a Le Kurtanga.
Oh, dear mother Yomaris.
Ale.
There are all money been homes lying in the color. Check it, redo some general Salamadam Jadin, they do me transit to the Della Berry. There were danger Salamada, Omani Bemo, Oman Bemo, Sagnati, started again. Cannot pendo to younger son. Che, she will go yours there. How could she not do still? None of the same corona to watch a leg, Tapshi shed, then sounds tango. Tango the keep shit the social young. Susul Kanye, Tambole. Kawadona you, Kawadana you. You had the electric Kesa Tango the Susuna Lake. See, Chakan Dille. Dogma meba, Tamcha with Chamju Sun, Kebracha, some dogma meba Saldoa. To Shivish Geshe.
The dogma meba the Kalabore.
Oh, that Chambata, Niji, Gun Yaku, Stone, Mone Namji Gavoko, Tondon, Sim de Dish Gabade. That's a Tiza Mahimba. Sim the thing is Sanresta.
I tell Dila Cover the dogma meba di. Tangi Soyadi, Sandarang Soyadila. And when you make the aspirations of loving kindness and compassion and so on, then when you, for instance, when you wish, may all sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness, may they be free from suffering and the cause of suffering, then you really connecting the intentions really with your mind and heart, or are you maybe just including some into your prayer, maybe just your friends, or maybe just human beings or other segments of individuals? Or are you really trying, when you practice, for instance, the 4 immeasurables, or when you take Mahayana refuge, or when you generate a train in bodhicitta, are you really trying to make this become a felt experience, something that moves you, that moves your mind, that impacts your mind? Or is it mere words? In Tibetan, they like to select dry words. They're really dry. They're really dry. It's not, it's not that it's bad to just make it become a mere word thing, but there will not be so much benefit out of it. Maybe just like 0.5% out of 100. The same would be if you recite a mantra like Om Mani Padme Hum without connecting it with compassion, with the wish, may all sentient beings be free from suffering and so on, and with the wish, may all sentient beings be happy, then it's really hard to know the benefit of that. That's really, really something very subtle and very hidden and not that impactful. Then if we really make it something very alive and vivid and that moves us. So it's really about, when we practice this, making it become something that's alive, that moves us, that's a felt experience where we can get a taste of what it's like, of these qualities, and let our hearts and minds move by them. And that's really, really beneficial. That's really beneficial because it will give you so many benefits, as we have just seen, and it will not last like very long. You will see very quickly benefits like feeling happy wherever you are, wherever you go, not being so concerned with your own problems and stuff like that. So all of this is what in the line we the word immutably, aroused immutably, refers to. So really make this, let it not be mere words, but make it something that's alive, something that moves you. Okay, time is over for today.
Hello. This is awesome.
Yes, time is over, yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to
That's right.
Chandu Senjo Rinpoche Maje Bana Jejurje Chiba Yamba Mebaya Kone Kondo Karira Kuru Singa Mudo Malinch Cheresun Shoga City Padu Danger. Oh yeah.